So I think the solution is to start practicing conservation outside of parks and preserves on landscapes just like this. Now, we have had visionaries through the ages who have recognized that we humans needed to work on our relationship with Mother Earth. And Aldo Leopold, of course, was one of the most eloquent. He wrote extensively in the first half of the 1900s. And one of the things he said is the oldest task in human history is to live in a piece of land without spoiling it. In the past, of course, conservationists worked pretty much exclusively where there weren't a lot of people. We now need to turn that on its head and practice conservation where there are a lot of people, because that's pretty much everywhere. And that means we've got to find ways for nature to thrive in human-dominated landscapes, not hang on by a thread, not get diminished every day, but thrive. So where should we start? Well, I say we should start in private property because most of the country is privately owned. 78% of the entire country is privately owned. 85.6% east of the Mississippi is privately owned. If we don't practice conservation on private property, we're going to fail, and failure is not an option. Let's go to Margie and Dan Terpstra's house in Kirkwood, Missouri. They have 0.6 acres, 18 times less land than Cindy and I have. They are in the middle of a development. Everybody around them has the big lawns. When they moved in, their yard was completely choked with bush honeysuckle, Amur honeysuckle. So the first thing they did was get rid of that. Then they planted 70 species of native plants, put in a water feature they call a bubbler. And then they started to count the number of birds that are using their yard. They're still at it too, but they're up to 154 bird species that have used their yard, including an amazing 35 warbler species. That's an amazing number. We've only recorded 18 warbler species at our house. So does it work on smaller properties? Absolutely. What about urban yards? Let's go to Pam Carlson's house in Chicago. And I mean in Chicago, her property abuts O'Hare Airport. She has 1/10 of an acre, 3 times smaller than the average lot size in North America. She's not connected to any natural area at all. So she is a tiny island in the middle of Chicago. It's a pretty island because Pam is a native plant landscaper and she knows what she's doing. But she did the same thing. She got rid of her non-native plants, put in 60 species of native plants, including a water feature, and then she sat back and started to count the birds using her property, and she's up to 127 bird species that have used her property, including a woodcock. There's Pam's woodcock. So if you haven't seen a woodcock lately, go to Pam's house in Chicago. Remember the four things that every property, the four ecological responsibilities of every property. Every property has to support a viable food web. If you don't have a viable food web, you don't have any animals. If you don't have any animals, you don't have a functioning ecosystems. And that is the goal, to recreate a functional ecosystem. Every property has to sequester carbon and help climate change. Every property has to manage the watershed in which it lies, and every property has to support pollinators. Lawn does none of those things, which is why I pick on it. So let's cut the area of lawn in half. We're not going to get rid of it. It's still the perfect plant to walk on. It's a great cue for care, but we don't need 44 million acres of it. So let's cut that. Let's take spaces like this and turn them into this. I got this picture from Dan Getman in Missouri. Had this big lawn, and he's starting to put the plants back. So he sent me this picture. Well, let's make the math simple. Let's say we got 40 million acres of lawn. We're going to cut that in half. That'll give us 20 million acres we could restore right at home, and that's enough space to create what I'm calling homegrown national park. And it'll be big. It'll be bigger than the Adirondacks, plus Yellowstone, plus Yosemite, plus Grand Tetons, Canyonlands, Mount Rainier, North Cascades, Badlands National Park, Olympic National Park, Sequoia National Park, plus the Grand Canyon, plus Denali, which is huge, plus the Great Smoky Mountains. If you add up all those parks, still less than 20 million acres. So Homegrown National Park will be the biggest park in the country. Can we get a pollinator garden into a residential landscape like this without offending anybody? Of course we can. Just put a little fence around it. It formalizes it. It tells your neighbor it's not just a bunch of weeds you forgot to mow. It's pretty when it's in bloom. It's servicing several species of bees. It's not very big, could be bigger, but if everybody did it, it would help a lot. Where do we need pollinators? Every place we need plants, which is every place. How about this? Drew Latham design. It's much bigger. Imagine the amount of life that is here versus the amount of life here. Seems like a no-brainer. Can municipalities help us live with nature? Yes, they can, and more of them are doing it. Minnesota's been doing it for a long time. They've got a cost-sharing program that is helping homeowners reduce or replace their lawn with appropriate Minnesota prairie plants. It's very popular. Pennsylvania has started a similar program. Virginia started a similar program. It's starting to spread. Robert Swan recently said the greatest threat to our planet is believing that someone else will save it. It's not going to be someone else, folks. It's going to be you. It's going to be you. I'll help. You and me. Because you are nature's best hope.